I thought I was straight. For most of my life, that was never even a question. I married a good man. Built a good life. Followed every rule I was taught. But then my best friend touched me. And in that moment, my body answered a question I didn't even know I was asking. Since that night, I've been living two lives. One with the man I vowed forever to. And another inside my mind, under her skin, in the quiet shadows of our secret moments. Now, I can't stop. And the worst part is, I don't want to. I never imagined I'd be in this position. Married to a good man. Living a life many would call ideal. Stable. Predictable. Normal. And yet, completely unaware of the storm quietly building inside me. Lily wasn't just my best friend. She was part of my soul, woven into my life from the first day we met in college. She was everything I wasn't: bold, wild, magnetic. And I loved her for it. I loved her like a sister. I thought. That night, everything changed. It started simply. Eric, my husband, was out of town for a conference. I invited Lily over like we'd done 100 times before. Wine. Laughter. Memories spilled over between us like the Merlot in our glasses. She was in leggings and a soft tank top. No bra. And for the first time, I noticed the way the fabric clung to her. The way her chest moved when she laughed. Her eyes lingered on me a little longer that night. Her touch was softer, slower when she placed her hand on mine. I told myself it was the wine. But when I got up to grab the blanket, she followed me. And when I turned around, she was right there. Close. Breathing in sync with me. Her hand came up, brushing a lock of hair from my cheek. But her fingers didn't leave. They traced along my jaw, down my neck, and stopped at the base of my throat. I froze. Her eyes asked the question she didn't say out loud. And then, she leaned in. Her lips were like satin. Soft. Lingering. Teasing. She kissed me with a gentleness that made my knees tremble. I didn't pull away. That kiss lasted barely 5 seconds. But it rewrote everything. The next morning, I couldn't think. Couldn't eat. All I could remember was the taste of her lips, and the way my body had leaned in, wanting more. I tried to convince myself it was a fluke. A mistake. An emotional moment gone too far. But my skin burned for her. I told Eric I was going to a yoga class. Instead, I drove to Lily's place. She didn't ask questions when she opened the door. She simply pulled me inside, and kissed me again. Slower this time. Her lips parted slightly. Her tongue just barely touched mine. I moaned into her mouth before I could stop myself. My hands moved on instinct, gripping her hips, pulling her against me. And hers, they were everywhere. Running along my back, slipping beneath my shirt, finding the clasp of my bra. I gasped as it snapped free. She laid me down on her couch. She hovered over me, eyes searching my face for hesitation. There was none. Her mouth moved to my chest. She kissed between the curves, her tongue swirling around my nipples, taking her time. Worshipping. No one had ever touched me like that. Not even Eric. Every breath was fire. Every moan was a confession I hadn't dared say out loud. And when she moved lower, between my thighs, I opened for her. My head fell back as her mouth claimed me. Gentle. Hungry. Methodical. My hands gripped her hair. My hips arched into her mouth. I came shaking. Crying her name. And when I looked down, she smiled against my skin like she owned me. In that moment, she did. After that night, I couldn't stop. I told more lies to Eric. I'm staying late at work. Girls' night again. I need some alone time. Every lie was a cover for the truth. I needed Lily. Not just her body, but her presence. Her scent. Her mouth. Her moans. The way she looked at me like I was her entire world. We made love in every room of her apartment. Kitchen counter. Against the bathroom sink. In the shower, where the steam mixed with our gasps. She learned every inch of me. What made me tremble? What made me scream? And I wanted to know her the same way. One night, she let me. I kissed my way down her stomach, nervous and shaking. She whispered, "Take your time." And I did. I traced her with my fingers. Listened to her moan. Watched her fall apart beneath me. Her thighs trembled around my head. And when she came, gripping my hair, biting her lip, I felt powerful. Alive. Eric had no idea. He still tried to touch me. His hands felt foreign now. Too rough. Too fast. Too routine. I'd flinch. Pull away. I hated that he noticed. He asked, "Is something wrong?" I said, "I don't know what's happening to me." But I did. I was falling in love with my best friend. Lily started asking questions I wasn't ready to answer. "What are we doing? Do you want to be with me? Are you going to tell him?" I had no answers. Only fear. One night, I went home still smelling like her. Eric pulled me into his arms. He kissed me. And I felt nothing. His lips felt like a stranger's. I closed my eyes and pictured Lily's mouth. The way she kissed my inner thighs. The way she whispered my name when she came. Eric pulled me toward the bed. I made an excuse, again. "I'm just tired, babe." But he didn't buy it this time. "Are you seeing someone?" I froze. My heart pounded. My body shook. "No," I lied. "Of course not." He stared at me in silence. But deep down, he knew. And yet I went back to Lily the very next day. We didn't speak. We just undressed each other slowly. Her fingers in my hair. Her lips grazing my collarbone. Her hands cupping my breasts. Her voice whispering, "You don't have to pretend when you're with me." We made love like it was the last time. Tangled in sweat and tears. Whispers of love we hadn't said out loud. Afterward, I curled into her chest. Breathing her in. Feeling her heartbeat slow. And I knew. I had crossed the point of no return. I don't know what I am anymore. Straight? Bi? Confused? All I know is this. The moment my best friend touched me, I awakened. To passion. To need. To parts of myself I didn't know existed. And now, my husband can't reach me anymore. His touch repels me. Because hers consumed me. And I don't know how to stop. Maybe I don't want to.